Hello, everybody. My name is Peyton Glisson, and I'm going to be interviewing Evan Engel today. So, say
Hi.
hello. He's waving.
My name's Evan.
And we're here to talk about diversity in Evan's society and from his views. So just to start off, we know each other by working at Starbucks. We've been working at Starbucks since May 2021 together, but we both come from different stores. We work together at night. Night brings a lot of interesting people into our store. We've met a lot of interesting people at Starbucks, and we work with a lot of interesting people as well. But I'm interested to hear about his work experience. He goes to Asheville High School. I'm interested to hear about his school experience. And he's about to graduate. He's a senior. And so I guess we'll see if any of this translate into how he's feeling about graduating high school and entering his next step of journey in his life. All right. So we're going to just talk about dimensions of diversity today. What do you feel has the greatest influences on your own identity?
I think what's nice, something that I've really liked having growing up, is that I've had a lot of really, really good women surrounding me growing up. My mom is very great, and my sister, they're both very strong women that I admire. But not just that, but my entire friend group growing up, I've always been surrounded by really great girls. And it's really awesome to say my high school graduating class is totally dominated by women. And I love just every day I walk into my math class and there's 2 guys in my math class. And I feel it's so cool to see so many women in the upper math class. It's just a really great experience to get to see other perspectives from women that I wouldn't get as a man.
Yeah. So that's really interesting because I don't know your next steps with what you want to do for college, but you've talked heavily with me about going to Arizona State through the Starbucks Achievement Plan. And what's difficult about that is that everything's online and your connection to your classmates are not as strong as high school or other areas of your community like work. And how do you think you're gonna want to bring in the dimensions of diversity through your education? Because it seems like you're influenced by people in your classes right now. So how do you think you're gonna want to translate that into your college life?
I think why I'm interested in Arizona State online, my initial idea was I was hesitant about it, but after everyone had to go through online schooling because of the COVID-19 pandemic, I feel like almost everyone should have gained a perspective on how valuable online schooling can be. And my experience is I moved from halfway across the country during the pandemic. So going into my junior year of high school, I was at a completely new school, completely online. So it was really daunting at first, but I think with great teachers and really open classmates, everything kind of settled its way in to the point where when I had the ability to go back to in-person school, it was really, really easy to kind of assimilate myself into the school society. I didn't feel like I was transplanted into the school society. I had that great welcoming through online school, and then I was able to just go in person and be like, hey, I've seen you on a video screen, but now I see you here, and that's really cool.
Yeah. It's interesting. I wanted to bring up that you moved from a small town in North Dakota. I don't know if you can hear the accent, y'all. But you moved from a small town in North Dakota. How many people were in your town?
50,000.
Only 50,000 people. How was your experience moving from that town into a more urban area like Asheville, North Carolina?
Well, I say 50,000, but that's the greater region of where I'm from. So my high school was probably 1/10 of the size of what I go to now. I knew everyone in my classes, and I never really had to deal with going into a room and not knowing anyone. So when I moved here, it was really, really cool to see that not only was everyone really, really welcoming, but even through online school, and you can't even see people's faces through the masks, and you can't see their facial expressions half the time, but I still was able to tell everyone's super welcoming. Everyone's super eager to get to know anyone new and be very inclusive about people who are very different from them. And I'm really glad to say I've gotten a lot of experiences here in Asheville that I never would have gotten from in small town North Dakota.
So these changes in your life, have any of this had like an influence on your beliefs, your values, your choices in particular? Or just kind of like just a new experience, not a lot's changed?
I mean, a lot has changed. I think when I was back in North Dakota, I was very focused on friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when I moved here, the thought of losing all of my friends was what scared me the most. But I think what it brought out of me was like the ability to be independent.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to rely on my friend groups. I don't have to use anybody as a crutch to get forward in life, and I can do it on my own. And that's almost what inspired me to apply to Starbucks in the first place. Was, I mean, the first time we drove through Biltmore Village in Asheville, I saw the Biltmore Village Starbucks. I was like, I'm going to work there. And I ended up working there for 6 months, and I was just jumping with joy when I got a job interview and all of that. It's just really exciting to think that I don't have to use people to motivate me to do that in my life anymore.
Yeah. So Starbucks is a very liberal-sided company. It's a company that does its best to be inclusive. It doesn't always work out, or sometimes their goals, they want to do something and it doesn't translate well within stores. But you're saying that starting at Biltmore Starbucks, getting that job really helped you like fit into your community in Asheville after such a big change. So how do you think that, how do you describe the fit between your values and beliefs within starting at the Biltmore Starbucks?
Well, I think something that North Dakota never really had was diversity. So coming here and working at Starbucks, which, like you said, is very liberal-minded as a company, I've worked with people I never thought I would even meet in North Dakota, which is crazy, cool, and amazing. I mean, one of my first shift managers was transgender, and he was the most amazing shift manager I've ever had. And one of my best friends uses they, them pronouns, something I had never experienced in North Dakota. And I think it just inspires me to think, wow, the geography of a place just makes such a difference, to the point where I'm so glad I've gotten to move here. I've become more independent, I've become more open-minded, and I can, give a lot of value to Starbucks for allowing that to happen to me.
So, I think you're gonna make me tear up. So what do others need to know about you to ensure that you feel comfortable, welcome, supported, and respected in your community from your perspective?
I think I'm a pretty easygoing person, but in general, anyone that is welcoming and who's very tolerant, I guess, I would say. I'm not someone who's willing to tolerate any sort of discrimination or any sort of that thing, and that's almost what made living in North Dakota difficult at points. And just, I don't want to make generalizations like that, but coming to a place that has such extreme diversity, I mean, when I walked into our store today, to see the pride flag there on the window, it was an amazing experience.
And just to give a little bit of more information, our manager, her name's Amber. She's amazing. She's just she pronouns. One of our pride stickers was stolen from the door, and her solution was to go and buy a pride flag, and then they hung it up yesterday, and it is giant. It is in our door. You can see it from a mile away. And also in our cafe right now, we're hosting a little community street fair, and it's to support Black-owned businesses in Asheville. So everything that Evan's talking about moving from North Dakota to coming here, and the geography is different and the mindset's different, is you literally, if you just walk into the cafe of our Starbucks right now that we're doing an interview in, it's crazy, open-minded, loving, and accepting. And so we're just going to talk about a little bit of actions and stuff. Just to bring up, you are a barista trainer at our store, and what a barista trainer does is when we hire new baristas, you get assigned to a barista, and then you train them. And that could be a really daunting task because that person is scared of starting a new job. Starbucks is a very, very nerve-wracking job to start. There's so much to learn in so little time. And so Evan does a really good job of that. He's one of the best trainers we have. And so I'm just saying he already does a really good job of taking actions within our community from my perspective, to making people feel like they belong. But I want to hear from his point of view. So like, what actions have you taken or plan to take to share your strengths and communicate your voice in your community? Like roles, memberships, activity participation. You can go in on barista training. You can go on anything you want to.
Yeah, I love the thought of barista training because Starbucks was the very first job I had, and I got it like right when I turned 16, and I was terrified, but I loved the person that trained me. He was amazing, and I felt like going into my first day of actually working, I knew what I was doing, and that's the experience I hoped to translate to everyone that I train. And sometimes it doesn't always work out. Starbucks isn't always the best place for everyone, and that's totally understandable. But I just think back to the most recent person I've trained. Her name is Martha, and she's absolutely stellar.
We love Martha.
She's amazing. And I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better trainee as a trainer. It's just so cool to me that I can give that experience back to someone.
You can clock into work. Sorry, we took a pause so Evan can clock into work. Alright, so lastly, we're just going to talk about the perspectives, influence, a sense of belonging in a community, and then how can different communities strategically be more inclusive to others within each dimension of conclusion. We talked about it a little bit, but I just want to, we don't have to go into the I can't even speak right now. My mind went everywhere when we had to clock in. Or like the organization, just kind of like areas in your community, like how could they be more inclusive, and kind of go into that.
Well, obviously, like we mentioned with Starbucks, we have a pride flag in our lobby that's giant now, and everyone knows that if they walk into our lobby, if they're part of the LGBTQ community, they're absolutely welcomed. Something that's really cool that's happening at my school right now is that since February is Black History Month, every Monday and Friday, our history classes are going through presentations about some sort of Black experience that we may have been not privy to in our past teachings of history. And I feel like I have a really, really great teacher who does that. Yeah.
All right. Well, do you have anything else you want to include or anything else you want to share about real quick?
I'm just really, really grateful to have Starbucks and all of the inclusive parts of my life, to include me, if that makes any sense. It's just really great to feel like I don't have to hide who I am in all aspects of my life. I can come to places where I'm loved, where I'm accepted, and it's really great.
Cool. And I'm your shift supervisor at Starbucks. I mean, we have a team of shift supervisors. Is there any questions you have from us and how we create an inclusive community for our store or anything to that nature? Just because we are in a leadership role and that's kind of like part of our job.
And my only question for you is, how do you do it? Because you're the best. I mean, dang. I've had like a million shift supervisors, it seems like, and none of them top you.
Yeah.
I promise. I feel like every time I walk in and I see you working, I'm always like, yes.
Oh, thank you. I did not tell him to say that, and I'm gonna cry after I finish this interview. Yeah, it's just, it's really just always putting myself into inclusive environments no matter what, and learning these classes, like taking classes at Arizona State, and I used to go to Warren Wilson College. They teach you about it, and when you learn about it and you learn about intersectionalities, you learn about how to start conversations, it just becomes a part of your everyday life. So, well, thank you so much for doing this, Evan, even though it went over when you needed to clock in. And yeah, so I guess I'll continue talking to you at work about this so we can create a more inclusive environment together. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you.